Hi, this is Lara from Forex Info USA with your free daily US dollar index Elliott wave analysis for the New York trading session dated Wednesday the 28th of April. And New York has been closed now 5.5 hours. Starting this analysis with a look at a historical chart, we'll just go back 3 years. We had a 5-wave down impulse for wave C at primary degree, followed by 5 waves up for primary 1, starting with a contracting diagonal in a first wave position. A nice ABC correction for 2, a good long strong 3, and a steep little correction for 4. Wave 2 primary was an expanded flat correction, a nice 3-wave structure for A, a 3-wave structure for B which reached beyond the start of A, which meant we should be expecting this intermediate wave C to reach significantly beyond the end of A, and it certainly did, to end primary wave 2. So far we're in primary wave 3 to the upside for the dollar. We've had the first leg complete with a 5-wave impulse complete for wave 1 intermediate degree. We're working on now a 3-wave structure down for wave 2 black. When that's over, we'll be working on a 5-wave up impulse for 3, another correction for 4, and another 5 waves up to end primary wave 3. Its most likely end is about 91.91 in the first instance, where primary 3 will be the same length as primary 1. However, it's more likely for it to reach 1.618, the length of 1 thereabouts, would see the dollar get up to about 102.87. Using Fibonacci time relationships, looking at how many months waves 1 and 2 have taken, it may be likely that primary 3 ends about December this year. It would take 13 months, or it could also possibly be a more drawn-out affair and take until August next year, when it would last 21 months. Taking you now to a regular daily chart, where this maroon 2 is this maroon 2 down here, and we're looking now at most recent dollar rises with this 5-wave up impulse for intermediate or black wave 1, which has ended here. I'm using Elliott's channeling technique here, and I'm relying very, very heavily on it because it works so well, especially for the dollar at degrees of blue or minor and above. In this instance, I've drawn it here with a trend line from the high of 1 to 3 and a parallel copy placed on the low of 2. Has very, very nicely contained this upwards movement, and with significant movement outside of the channel, we've got a strong indication that intermediate 1 did end here, and we should be in intermediate wave 2 to the downside. I am aware, however, there are other interpretations that see this possibly as 4 ended here and 5 blue continuing, possibly with a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 expanded flat correction. That's certainly possible. Sorry, not an expanded flat, an ending expanding diagonal structure in a 5th wave. That is entirely possible. My main objection for that interpretation, however, is it's going to have significant movement outside of the trend channel that would be drawn for intermediate wave 1. Now, that's not a reason to completely invalidate that count. It certainly doesn't. It just makes it look a little less likely than this interpretation, I think. Another option is that intermediate wave 2 black ended here with an A, B, C, and that I've got my degrees of labelling wrong, and this should be blue A, B, C, with intermediate wave 2 black ending here. That means, however, that intermediate wave 2 just took 14 days, which really seems very, very brief, and sees it as shorter and briefer than this wave 3 at intermediate degree. Sorry, at minor degree. It sees a wave degree at intermediate as briefer than a wave degree at minor. Now, in very odd situations, that could be entirely possible. It just seems very, very unlikely for a wave degree at intermediate to have been so brief, and for a second wave also to have been very shallow. So I expect we're still working on intermediate wave 2 with an expanded flat correction, which is the most common type of flat correction. We know it's a flat correction because A broke down to a very strong 3-wave structure. We can see a 3-wave structure for B with a long extended C wave within it. It may have ended here today. I will allow for the slim possibility that we could have a little more upside movement. With strong divergence on the hourly chart between price and MACD, however, it tells us that this upside momentum for the dollar at the moment is definitely waning if it's not already over here. Wave B blue may have reached 121% of A. Taking you now, before we go to the hourly chart, I'm going to use this trend channel very, very strongly to give final confirmation of B blue being over and C to the downside being underway. In this instance, I've drawn this trend channel from this point to this point and this point in the first instance in a parallel copy placed on this most outside low. I want to see movement to the lower edge of this parallel trend channel before I am finally confident that B blue is over and C blue is then underway. That's a very conservative approach. Here's your hourly chart with a 5 waves up for wave 1 green, a little zigzag down for 2, a 5 waves up for 3, an expanded flat correction for 4, and a short brief little 5. Reasonable Fibonacci relationships between these waves actually. Wave 3 is just 0.04 short of 0.618, the length of wave 1. Wave 5 not that good, it's 0.19 short of 0.618, the length of wave 3. I would like to see a little bit more upwards movement to take wave 5 up to 82.84, a little bit further up, one more push up to give it a nicer 0.618, the length of wave 3. That would give this overall wave C pink some much better Fibonacci relationships, although it is entirely possible that it's ended here. Like I said, I'm going to use that channeling technique on the daily chart to give final confirmation of an end to upwards movement. If this wave count is correct, and if it has ended here, the next move should be strongly down, getting below that parallel trend channel and giving us that confirmation I'm looking for. If it has ended, my targets for the downside, for the end to wave C blue and to finally end wave 2 black, is a zone between 79.51 and 79.15. This wave count as it stands today is invalidated with movement above 82.68. If that happens, I'd like to use that upper target of 82.84. I don't think it's going to go much higher at all. That's all for me with your dollar analysis. If you would like in-depth, clear and concise Elliott wave analysis to help you when you're trading of the euro dollar and or the pound dollar, you will find it on my site for incredibly reasonable prices per month. I hope everyone's having an awesome day out there, and may all your trades today be profitable.